Lightspeed Spanish, podcast number 12. And today we're dealing with, Cynthia, you're very tall. We're dealing with the present progressive. Okay. Now.
Hola, Gordon.
Hola, Cynthia.
¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, muy bien. Estoy fenomenal hoy, de verdad. ¿Y tú? ¿Qué tal?
Muy bien. Con un poco de frío,
Sí.
como tú,
Sí.
pero bien. Bien.
Hoy hace frío. Hace frío. Sí.
Sí.
Okay, so, present progressive. What is it? Don't get hung about the title. Basically, it's this type of sentence that goes, I am listening to music. I am walking with the dog. Yeah? So, it's made up of I am. So, what verb's that?
Estar.
Estar. Okay? It's a verb to be, and it's estar. The reason it's estar is because when you are walking the dog or you are listening to music, it's not a permanent thing, it's a temporary thing, okay? And then it's made up of this word, walking, talking, listening, which is, the official title is what?
The gerund.
The gerund.
El gerundio.
Gerundio, yeah? It's also known as the present participle as well. But,
I've never heard that before.
yeah, it is. And so that's the way the sentence works, okay? Now, first of all, just let's be clear. In Spanish, a normal conjugated verb, if we were going to use the example of hablo, okay? Hablo. Yo hablo. Now, to a Spanish person, that means one of two things, okay? It can be understood from the sentence, one of two things. One thing is what, Cynthia?
I speak.
I speak. Hablo.
In general.
Yeah. Yo hablo inglés. I speak English. But also, it can mean
I'm speaking.
I am speaking as well. For example, what are you doing? Oh, hablo con el vecino. I'm talking with the neighbor. Okay? So, when you speak in Spanish, you don't need necessarily to change hablo into something else. Now, we're going to show you how to do this. But there's a word of warning. Once we understand how to do it, then we're going to have a word of warning about when you can use this and when you can't use this, okay? So, how does it work? We said we need the verb estar, and then we need to make an ing.
Yes, the following verb would have the ing.
Ing, okay. So we've got three kinds of verbs, ar, ir.
Yes.
What do you do with the ar verb to make it into an ing?
Okay, you get rid of the ar, part of the verb, and you add ando.
Okay, so hablar, if we're using that. So hablar is to speak. So speaking is
Hablando.
hablando. So it's got an ando on. Okay, right, well that makes sense.
Er verbs and ir verbs share the same ending in gerund, which is yendo. So you get rid of ir or er, and you put yendo. So from comer, we would have comiendo.
Comiendo.
And from vivir, we would have viviendo.
Okay, so just to recover, AR verbs end with ando, that makes them into an ing. So hablar, to speak, becomes hablando, speaking. ER and IR have yendo. So comer, to eat, becomes comiendo, eating. Yeah, and vivir, to live, becomes viviendo, living. Okay, right.
There are a few irregular verbs. Just quickly, for example, the verb ir. The verb ir would be yendo with a Y.
Yeah.
Y-E-N-D-O.
Rather than I-E-N-D-O, which
Exactly.
would, yeah. So
there are a few irregular verbs, but we can.
But the pronunciate with that, they'll be in the help sheets. The pronunciation isn't that noticeable, even the irregular ones. There are some, but we'll put those in the help sheets. Now, so how does it work? Well, if we were going to say, for example, I am talking. I am talking. Okay? Right now, how would we do that, Cynthia?
Estoy hablando.
Okay. Estoy, I am, hablando, talking. Yeah. So here's a one for you. How would you say you are eating? You are eating. How would that be? Quick think. 3 seconds, and Cynthia will give you the answer, see if it's the same. 3, 2, 1.
Estás comiendo.
Estás comiendo. You were eating. All right. So that's the structure of it. Now, in English, we use this a lot. We use it a tremendous amount, and this is where the word of warning comes, because the actual title of it is the present progressive. That means it's something, an event that's progressing in the present. Yeah. In Spanish, some sentences that are prohibited. I'll give you one. On Friday, I'm having a party. Okay? On Friday, I'm having a party. El viernes, estoy teniendo una fiesta. Prohibited. It's not allowed. Why is it not allowed, Cynthia?
When we use future, use present progressive in future tense, but we don't. We would use the present tense. We only use the present progressive in Spanish for a present action that is progressing, a present continuous action. So therefore, if you want to say, I'm having a party on Friday, we would say, I have a party on Friday. So that would be tengo una fiesta. But it'll never be estoy teniendo, because that would mean you're having it now. So how can it be on Friday?
Sure. So
that's how it works.
Future, you can't use it.
No.
Second sentence, that won't work. Estoy trabajando en el centro. Okay, I'm working in the center. I'm working in the center. Now we do that very easily. I'm working there. Yeah. In Spanish, unless you're in the center working, unless you're on the telephone saying, listen, I'm working in the center, that won't really, it's best to avoid that.
Yeah.
How would a Spanish person really say that?
I would say I work in the center.
Yeah.
Trabajo en el centro. Because if I say estoy trabajando en el centro, that would typically mean I'm working now. Can I call it later, for example?
Sure.
I'm working.
Yeah.
So try to avoid present continuous in Spanish unless it is an action that is happening now.
Right. Good.
If not, if you can use something else like present tense or future tense, use that. Try to avoid present continuous.
Okay, let me tell you a story very quickly. In my classes, I tend to avoid teaching the present continuous until a little bit later. The reason for that is it's so like English that once people get a hold of it, they use it all the time in an English way. And we've just shown there are 2 ways you can't do that in Spanish. When I worked in Mexico, I did exactly that. Oh, that's excellent. Just like English, I can use that all the time. And I can remember being at one evening in a stadium watching a band, and I saw somebody who used to work with us. And I said to them, what are you doing? What are you doing now? Meaning, what are you up to? What are you up to these days? And I said, ¿Qué estás haciendo ahora? And she looked at me in a very strange way and she said, I'm standing here talking to you. What are you doing? Okay, and I learned a valuable lesson that doesn't work. If you're asking somebody, ¿Qué estás haciendo? What are you doing? They're going to tell you what they're doing right now. Yeah.
Yes. For general conversations like what are you doing, I would use the present tense. ¿Qué haces?
¿Qué haces?
¿Qué haces? Not ¿qué estás haciendo?
Yeah.
Typically, no.
So we've got half a minute. Let's just put this into practice.
That's going to be difficult.
Cynthia, ¿qué estás haciendo ahora?
Pues ahora estoy hablando contigo y estamos grabando un podcast. Y Gordon, ¿en qué estás pensando?
Estoy pensando en terminar el podcast a los 10 minutos, ¿no?
Exactamente a los 10 minutos.
Más o menos. Más o menos, sí. Estoy pensando en eso y también estoy hablando contigo y con nuestros estudiantes. Hola.
Hola y bueno, y adiós,
Okay. So that's basically the present progressive. You'll hear us use it later on, okay? In the other podcasts. But There you go. I hope that's been valuable. Entonces, nos vemos y nos vamos.
Hasta luego.